And the chance are really going now for Hagler. He comes from Brockton, Massachusetts, although he was born in the tough ghetto of Newark, New Jersey. But this, of course, is virtually his hometown in Boston. And he's fighting really for what he considers cut-price championship, $500,000, just because he wants to get even with Antuofermo. And really, you can feel the tension around the ringside here. Tremendous at the Boston Garden. So the opening round, and I don't think they heard that bell there, and the referee, Davy Pearl, is calling to the timekeeper, who's just beside me, to make sure that they hear it better next time. So they know all about each other, having fought 15-round draw in Las Vegas. And then that was the time Antuofermo was champion, and Alan Minter then dethroned Antuofermo and successfully defended against him, but lost the championship in a bloody fight at Wembley to Marvin Hagler. Catching the heads there, and the first catch of heads as Antuofermo dived in, high up in the forehead, his blood. And he already put his glove up to feel that, but that really was his fault. Hagler dropped his head, Antuofermo dived in, and it was a pleasure anyway to see him get past the weigh-in ceremony without bleeding, because it's very high and they'll be able to control it, but it was a hard bounce. And Freddie Brown, the trainer, is up in the corner claiming a butt by Hagler. And it looks a bad one for Antuofermo. It's high away from trouble. Seconds can usually cope with that. But what a pity that's happened. It's streaming down his face, and you remember how Antuofermo got so badly cut up with Minter that he had to have plastic surgery, the ridges taken down around his eyebrows, and he was cut again in his last fight, a non-title fight, but he won that one on points. So we're midway then through the opening round, and it's been dramatic enough already. I suppose there'll be some controversy about that clash of heads, but I thought that Antuofermo created his own problem there, and Hagler ducked his head as he came in. Davy Pearl, referee, handled the Minter and Hamsho fight, but he's scoring this one, and as he said, what a pity he didn't with Minter, because he actually made Minter a winner. I tell you, they could do with Count Dracula, I think, refereeing this. Hagler not really opening up with any venom. He doesn't need to, just biding his time. Comes with winning a championship, you know, these fellas. He always was confident. Now he can get composed. They're pushing Antuofermo's stool under the bottom rope. They really can't get to those injuries quick enough to try and work on them. Last 30 seconds of the opening round. Antuofermo's only chance surely is to keep bullying in, getting close the whole time, and try to tire Hagler out as he contends he did last time. At the end of round one. Now this didn't come out for the second. No, there's a problem there. What's happening? Freddie Brown, the old boy, is arguing with the referee. Stop him butting. What's happening here? They're not going to let him fight on. Freddie Brown says, out. I'm not going for this. This is going to cause a pandemonium here at the Boston Garden. They're trying to throw the blame on the referee. I have to say, I consider that unfair. This trainer a bit noisy. We saw him at Wembley there, Panama Lewis. The old boy, Freddie Brown, who worked with Rocky Marciano and Roberto Duran. He's really given it to Davy Pearl. He's a sports officer at the University of Nevada. I think he's used to objections before. What a terrible letdown this is. It obviously is a deep cut, but it seems so far away from danger, and I don't know the doctor. Let's hear, can we hear what he's saying?
Unintentional cut. And scar. Unintentional cut.
I'm wondering if the Massachusetts Commission will order the fight on.
He can't go on,
But no, they're saying he can't go on, but there's no way they're going to disqualify Hagler. And Hagler just pacing in the corner like a racehorse, but it's Antuofermo who wants to fight on. But they're saying, don't go, stay right there. Obviously the most dramatic ending ever seen to a fight of this caliber. But no, they're going to fight on. Hagler really hasn't changed expression. I'm over in his corner all the way through. And unless that commissioner can get them out of the ring, and people are shouting, the officials, the people who are paying the money, come on, let's get on with the fight. There's no way that he's going to be disqualified. And they're deciding they're going to fight on. I think the manager's calling this man, the old boy there, 74-year-old Freddie Brown, who has a feel for his fighter, no doubt, but he really has overreacted to that clash. Into round two. Well, after that really unbelievable length between rounds there, I've never seen anything like that. We had a bit of that with Ali and Cooper, but that really didn't last well. Not nearly as long as that did. Well, they made their objections. They won't get away with that again, and I would think Hagler would open up a bit now, because he must be needled, and Antuofermo must be desperate. Hagler made a first defense of the championship against the Venezuelan, fully Obel. He stopped him. And you've got to hand it to him. He's proved to be a fighting champion. Well, coming up for the second probably saved the riot, and there's enough action to last all night. They've done well, really, with that cut, considering they weren't working on it. They were more talking than working. Midway, then, through round two. Well, the fight game's certainly all about the unexpected. We even had dramas at the weighing-in ceremonies today. And that blooded face of Antuofermo. Really, you're saying, well, how long can it last? Because Antuofermo's got to do something desperately. They can't stalk that cut all night. Championship scheduled, of course, for 15 rounds. And Hagler doing the boxing bit now. He's very capable of that. 30 seconds to go in the second. It's not all roughhouse with Hagler. He disguises some of his boxing ability. Oh, and the stares at the end of that round. These fellas really detest each other. Well, round three. It looks as though the buts arguments are already dying down and they're back to business. Clear round for Hagler in the second. Really can punch from all angles, Hagler. Especially with that left hand uppercut. That's a dangerous shot. It's very difficult to block. Antuofermo's a bit embarrassed having to go down from that. By Hagler's hard-hitting standards, it was virtually a push, but obviously good enough. He caught him square, too, off balance. All the time what Antuofermo really expects he has to do. It must be tough for the cornermen saying, well, your cut just gets stuck in, is about all they can say, because this fellow seems to be his governor, as they say in Britain, all the time. Midway through the third. obviously not permitting Antuofermo any work in the clinch. He's going to try and keep this fight at long range and gradually cut the man up, I would think, and cut the man down. That's the plan. And from as close as I am to this fight, I can assure you that Hagler's really not putting all strength into every punch. He's just very relaxed. I think he's made up his mind he wants this to be a punishing job. Or maybe he's always worried about going the 15 rounds course. They're arguing with the referee again there. It's full of needle, which I must say doesn't surprise me one bit. And in replay, we can see that knockdown now. Notice how straight the punch comes. Leading with the southpaw right hand there, just getting the range. And again, parries that shot away well. There it is, you see. It's not that powerful because it was at the end of the arm when it landed on Antuofermo's chin. And another look at it. The second punch catches him, he maneuvers it, there it is there. Caught him square and as much off balance as well with the power of the punch. Well, there you are, that's a bit obvious, isn't it? Showing you they want Hagler to use the uppercut. Into round 4, and in some respects you could call it extra time because it really did look all over at the end of the first. And sometimes the more chance that seconds get to work on these injuries, the better job they can do in staunching them. The repairs that Antuofermo, the plastic surgery, had around his eyes opened in his last contest, but they were not the same cuts that he had against Minter. They were in fresh places. For a minute, it looked as though there was going to be some restraint from Hagler, but he let the champion-type hook go there. And the echoes of the crowd right from the back of the hall. The old Boston Garden, where some of the greatest fights have been seen. 52 years old, this arena, and packed. Toughness, of course, bravery has more than its place in boxing, but sometimes I think it's a bit foolishness with Antuofermo, the way he risks his face as he dives in. And I suppose he's one of those throwbacks to the old bare-knuckle days and doesn't mind how it comes. Last minute of the 4th. You can just spot those Hagler left hooks coming up, the uppercuts. There it is. Certainly Antuofermo can't see them, but it's always easier to see from outside the ring. We had a good exchange there, Antuofermo. Angles of Hagler's punches. So difficult for the opponent to stop. Oh, well, the crowd won't like that, but Antuofermo's people will. They've applauded that in the corner to keep the head up there. A little bit after the bell, but fair dues. They don't want to be paid to become amateurs between rounds. It really is. They've done a good job there, patching up. Freddie Brown saying, no, the left eye is too much. This time, as I thought, it will be over because that eye is worse than the forehead, and he's saying, call the doctor. Davy Pearl, the referee, saying, come on, Freddie, call the doctor. And he's chewing. There it is. That really is a brutal-looking cut, tucked right in that eye there. There's one over the left as well. He said, I got butted again, Antuofermo, for which the referee warned him. This really is so drama-packed, it's unbelievable after the 4th round. But he's saying, I don't want any more, Brown. He's calling to the commissioner sitting alongside me at ringside here, saying we're having no more. They're trying to get a disqualification, which, remember, there's no foul rules, and it's unheard of practically in the United States. So a similar finish for Antuofermo as it was against Minter. Badly cut up, and I'm glad to see at least a friendly exchange there. Well, I hope it stays that way. But there's an argument about whether Freddie Brown saying watch the head. He's a game-old guy, isn't he? There's no doubt about that. He was brought up in the hard school in Brooklyn. But it went more or less as we expected it would, and we wonder why Antuofermo genuinely thought he had a chance to outgame Hagler. The crowd really were caught unawares, I think, by that finish, because it looks as though Antuofermo was all right, but we did spot from close up here that he did have that damage around the eyes, and quite honestly, I'm always in favour of it being stopped well. Too early and never too late. Well, amid all the arguments then, the fighters are always ready to talk and give their side of the view, and let's hear what Marvin Hagler has to say.
Okay, Marvin, how did you see what happened in the 1st round?
Well, you see in the 1st round, Antuofermo comes straight at me with his head. That was his own fault. He knows that he's vulnerable to cuts and everything like that. Seemed like he would have tried to keep away or whatever instead of ramming straight on with his head.
You're not suggesting that he did it deliberately. He was just leading with his head.
No, he was. And in our first fight, that's what he done here. But I'm glad that we had a great referee today that was very aware of everything. And he watched the butts, he watched the holdings and everything. So I felt very confident there. At least I had a good referee in there. And I just wanted to, I really wasn't loosened up yet. I was just starting to put things together.
What did you think of all of the furor that was going on in his corner with Freddie Brown? Brown apparently wanted the fight stopped on a technicality, and meanwhile he was giving Antuofermo a chance to heal.
Sure. Well, you know, I think that they did come in with some of that stuff on top of his head. I don't know what they were using, but it's kind of dangerous to another fighter because that stuff gets in my eyes, and which it did. I went back to my corner, and he wiped it out of my eyes. It's kind of bad. It blinds a fighter.
Once the fight continued, were you deliberately going for that cut? It did not appear to be in a dangerous place.
I wanted to knock him out. I was just putting my punches together, which you see me just starting, loosen up, putting my combinations together. I felt like I was a little tight in the beginning, but I knew that this guy wasn't the same fighter that I fought back there in '79, because he was much too easy, and he gave me, I moved, had a little bit more distance. Like I said, after that fight there with Antuofermo the first time, I went back to school.
What did Antuofermo say to you at the end?
First of all, I just want to say that Antuofermo helped me buy my mother right there a house. And I want to say thank you, because it's her birthday, June 17th, and that house will be hers.
What did he say to you at the end?
Well, he wants another rematch or whatever like that. Hey, it's not fair way how things have to end that way, but hey, in this game, everything counts. So it wasn't fair the way they took it from me in the draw either.
Where do you go from here? Is Hamsho, it seems to be the only middleweight who has earned a clear shot at you.
If we can make big money the way that I want to make the money, $1 million or more, I know that gladly we'll take the fight.
Yeah. What about all the welterweights that seem like they can't wait to get a shot at you? Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Wilfredo Benitez.
That's good. If I was a weak champion, they would have been on top of me sooner. But I'm a strong champion. I just want to concentrate on this division, bring the respect back to the middleweight division. And if Sugar Ray Leonard or Tommy Hearns want to move up into my division, come on, fella, because I'm looking for a big payday.
When you were at ringside with us at HBO for the Sugar Ray Leonard fight, you took a look at Leonard for 4 or 5 rounds and you said, I think he should stay as a welterweight.
Yeah, I do feel that way. I still feel that way. I think that all the titles should be combined. I am the true 100% champion, and I do like that because I have both belts. And I feel very happy today, Larry.
Well, unfortunately, we wanted you to take a look at our monitor. Maybe we can bring up that headbutt if we can roll our tape here so that you can take a look at exactly what happened in the fight.
That butt was very accidental. I remember that because I was going down looking for a body shot.
I think this is the second butt of the fight, Marvin. Would you tell us what you see here?
I'm trying to use the straight. There it is right there. I was going down for the body, which is a good combination. You use a straight right jab, and then you go under with the body shot. and he was coming down at the same time I was, and that's how the headbutt collided.
But at that time, the official warned you. Let's take a look at it again.
Yeah, but you can see
All
that
right,
I was, after
now
I
we're
took
gonna
the punch,
now we're gonna
I was
take a
going
look at the
down.
knockdown. You were jabbing him just before the knockdown.
That was a beautiful shot there, dead on the money. He never knew what happened. He was down on that one. That came quick. Even myself, I didn't know it was out there.
Now,
Came quick.
now in the first fight, you dominated the first half of the fight, and he came back later. Were you
I wasn't
concerned?
going to let that happen this time. I wasn't going to let it happen. I knew I can get him in the earlier rounds. I was just starting to put things together. I figured with a little bit more, the referee had to stop this fight. This is a very serious game, and people get seriously hurt. If the blood's got in his eyes or something where he couldn't see, I could have maybe damaged him real bad. To myself, I really didn't care because I want to swat that mosquito.
Thank you very much, Marvin.
Gentlemen, referee stops the bout, the 5th round, the winner by a TKO, and still middleweight champion of the world, Marvin Hagler.
And of course, the disappointed Antuofermo, he'll come into the argument. Here's his view.
Vito, how did you see or feel what happened to you in the first round?
Well, the first round, I might have believed that it was intentional butt, because I got butt on top of the head, so I might have been an intentional butt. The referee warned both of us, watch for the head, but meanwhile, I got to cut it in. But the second time, he butted me with his head, and right in the eye. You could see it right there.
He got a point taken away.
I got a point taken away from intentional point.
There was no doubt about the second butt in which he lowered his head and did hit you, but in the first butt, our replay showed definitely that in your leading to him, that you did hit him. Let's take a look at it right here. Describe what you see.
Okay, I'm going, yeah.
There,
see,
right there.
Well, you see what he said? You see what he said? He butted his head down?
Put his head right into him. Look at him.
Well, go back. Go back with it.
You see? Play it again.
Right
there supposed to be stopped.
Well, there were two forces meeting there. We'll try to roll that tape again and try to see it again. It certainly was an accidental butt, but let's take a look at it once again. See who's moving forward.
Okay, I'm a little more. Yeah, but he moved
Put his
through
head
his
right
head
into
down.
it. It's supposed to be drawn.
He moved his head down.
What was Freddie Brown? Was he trying to stop the fight or just give you time for your wound to heal?
He was telling the referee that they should be disqualified. But I didn't care. The first time I didn't care. I wanted to go on because I know I could do it. You know? But then the second time he did it again. That time I know he was on purpose. That was only the first time. I didn't even notice until now. But the second time was definitely butt. Intentional butt.
Vito, thank you very, very much. You're a brave fellow. Just too much. You gave just too much blood for your cause. Here's the second butt.
Yeah.
There it is.
Hey, see what it said there? I mean, you know, look at.
Think he wants you to ring?
At that point, the referee.
Go back with it. I like to go back with it.
It seemed that when you both went down, at that time he was going forward.
But meanwhile, he butted me with the top of the head. Watch this.
Watch.
I'm going in with the right hook.
He put, look at him. Look at him. What is that? What is that?
Okay.
Down and up with it. Hey, what, you got to be blind?
It just looks like you just sprung too many leaks again, Vito. Good try.
Well, I guess so, but I think they should call it a draw.
Will you fight again?
Definitely. If they give me a rematch, definitely I will fight him again.
Thank you very much, Vito.